joining us for a special video edition of Fried Okra, the public education podcast for Oklahomans. I'm Carrie Coppernall Jacobs with the Oklahoma Education Association. And actually today I'm going to ask our co-host, Catherine Bishop, to be our guest. So Catherine, president of the OEA, how are you?
I am great. I am so excited for today.
Well, I want to ask, so there was some action by the OEA board. Tell us about what happened this weekend.
Yeah, so this past Saturday, our OEA board of directors met and took bold action regarding a motion to support a resolution as well as a plan of action and how we were going to address the pandemic that we're currently in.
Okay, so why do a resolution like this? Why now? Where did this come from?
For this last year and a half, it's important that we reflect on what has happened during this time. We know the importance, or especially over this last year, we know the importance of our students being face to face for learning. We know the importance of the prevention layers that were put in place to keep students and teachers, support professionals, and the whole community safe. And we also knew the importance of how our school boards and administrators worked closely, hand in hand with the health experts to guide those decisions as they went forward.
So so this is something we've talked about, especially the pandemic and the learning environment needs for all of this time. Could OEA have done this without the board? And kind of explain a little bit to what the OEA board is.
All right. So our OEA board of directors are made up of members. The cool thing, they're made up of you, they're members elected by members throughout the state to represent them, to bring and decide issues at the state level on our OEA board. We have 27 members of our OEA board.
And so yes. So could you have done this without them though?
You know, here's the important thing as president. It was imperative for the level of a decision to be brought to our directors that are representing our members to help guide the decisions going forward.
Right. Because the board is all parts of the state, and you've got people from, the biggest districts, from very rural communities, and everybody in between. Because it's very representative, in my view, as a non-member, representative of the OEA membership as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only does it represent teachers, it represents support professionals. It also represents administrators. We have an administrator at large. We have our retired president that sits on our board and our aspiring educator representative as well. So from our students in the College of Ed to our retirees, it has the breadth of who we are.
So there are three action items, three takeaways that are part of the resolution. Can you give us a look at what those are?
Yeah, great. The first one is to give voice to our local officials, to our members, who we are. Like I said it before, our teachers, our support professionals, our administrators, and our parents and the students. They're such a huge piece to this, and to tell their stories, and this is something we do all the time, and we could have easily done this without board action. We do it all the time. But when we get down into the second and third points that were part of our plan and the resolution and our plan of action, let's go to the third point first. It was to stand in solidarity with the Oklahoma State Medical Association in their lawsuit against the state of Oklahoma. And by doing that, then we're able to address the second point, which is to facilitate crucial conversations across the state with health experts, those that are most qualified to help us to drive these decisions, along with our locals around the state.
So let's talk about the lawsuit first. Why would OEA support this lawsuit? And then are there other organizations that are taking a look at this too?
This lawsuit was brought about because of the passage of Senate Bill 658 that happened last spring by our Oklahoma State Legislature, signed into the governor. So it's now on the books. It's a statute that we have. But what this law does is it ties the hand of our local school boards. And
Mhm.
they have a constitutional right. It's in our state constitution, the authority that our state boards have to make decisions for the health and safety of our students,
Mhm.
school personnel, the community. That is what they're obligated to do. And this restricts that authority that they have.
Right. And so this lawsuit is looking to undo that, those binds on our school boards.
Right. They're
Um,
not, yeah, they're not able to sit down and look at their district and say, where are we at and
right,
what do we need to implement? It's just,
right.
it's beyond what somebody would ever imagine.
So are there other organizations that are looking at this also?
Yeah, there are several other partner organizations that are in the kind of the same process that we went through. They're consulting with their board of directors and looking to stand in solidarity with them as well.
We're going to keep an eye on that. I'm very interested because I've heard chatter here and there. So I'm interested to see how that plays out in the coming weeks, especially with the lawsuit scheduled for a court hearing this week. Um, so we've talked about giving voice to those in Okla Ed who are affected by COVID, which is goodness, everyone. We've talked about the lawsuit, and talk to us again about the third point there.
Yeah, so standing with the Oklahoma State Medical Association, this is what we saw was so powerful in this last year.
Mhm.
They are the experts.
Right,
And how we coalesced with them last year as an education community. So it's bringing together the health experts and the education community so that we can work together, because that's how we make the decisions that will
right.
help make us go forward.
So bringing people together, you mentioned it kind of goes back to the second point of that resolution. Um, when I first read that, I was just like, well, how will that happen? Like, can you give us sort of a concrete look at how can OEA leaders, OEA members be part of that facilitating the relationships in our communities?
Yeah. So when we have been working with the Oklahoma State Medical Association, we
Mhm.
told them that we were looking to help support them. They were
Mhm.
thrilled beyond words. So we're looking at setting up, whatever is going to be that the safety and the health of the community, whether it needs to
Right.
be virtual or face to face. But we want to set up like town halls, so where the community can come and hear from the experts and help
Yeah.
make those local decisions that are going to help them go forward.
And see that, I mean, and you just said it, it comes back to local control and to communities deciding what they need when. Um, so I hope that people see that in this, because that's really what you guys were shooting for.
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily about a mask or a vaccine or any, it's about local communities being able to handle their own business.
Just like they did last year. And we
Mhm.
were able, so many of our districts around the state were able to create a plan, whether that was through totally in person, a hybrid model, an AB schedule, whatever they needed to do to help keep their students learning and their
Mhm.
school personnel in a safe working environment. That was the beauty of it last year. We had a model in place.
Right.
And if we could have kept that going forward this year, we would not be in the situation that we're in.
Man, I think about everything that was learned last year, that districts learned last year, and then we sort of changed the game as we come back to school in this August. And it goes back to me to what do we think that our kids deserve? So when you think about that, what what do you think about when you think about like what is that our kids deserve from us as the adults in the situation?
Our kids deserve a learning environment where decisions are made on their behalf that they know that they're going to be safe and they're
Right.
going to be learning. No matter if they're in 12th grade or first grade,
Right.
there are students and there are charges that we have before us, no matter if you're a teacher, a sport professional, or a school board member.
Hmm.
They are our charges, and we are, they're entrusted to us to help make those decisions. It amazes me all the time that our school personnel, they're constantly we're running drills to make sure that they're safe from a fire, or drills to make
Right.
sure they're
Right.
safe from an intruder or a tornado, that
Hmm.
we will put our life on the line to protect them. They're
Hmm.
expecting the same thing out of this. This is no different. And this is a public health issue. This is not a political ideology or a partisan issue. It is about keeping our communities safe. It's a big issue. And that's why just partnering with the Oklahoma Medical Association is, it just, it puts us together and what we need to do.
When you talk about doing things for um, our community includes our school. When I think of the school community specifically, we've got students with just a huge, broad range of needs. We have kids who have absolutely no physical challenges, and then we have kids who have major medical conditions. And I know that you spent your career as a special education teacher who worked with a lot of kids who had physical needs. um, what kind of goes through your head right now?
Oh, it goes through my head and it goes through my heart,
Yeah.
because knowing the students that were in my elementary, a third of our students had disabilities, and many of those students had severe and profound disabilities and were
Mhm.
medically fragile. I just remember every year I took the flu shot for them. I took the flu shot because many of them were medically fragile and they couldn't take the flu shot. I needed to make sure I was doing everything as the adult to protect them from getting sick. And that's what goes through my mind. What are we doing? What should we be doing to make sure that we are protecting our students, all of our students, not
Mhm.
just the ones that are going to be healthy and come to school. And what's scary right now, Carrie, is this variant is so contagious. Our healthiest students are testing positive.
Yeah.
And so we have to, I always say it this way, we have to do good for others. We have to
Mhm.
take care of others.
You know, when if you ask my 6-year-old why does she wear a mask, she'll say for my friends.
Mhm.
She
Absolutely.
we are blessed that she doesn't have any physical issues, and but she knows that there are other kids that she needs to protect. And kids get it, they get it.
Yeah. And just because a student may not look like they have health issues, there
Yes.
so many of their health issues are invisible and we
Right.
can't see them. But to know the thought that that we would put a child at risk that is entrusted for within us, um, is mind-boggling to me.
Well, what can OEA members expect now? Now that this has happened, now that the board has had this debate, passed this resolution, what comes next for OEA?
Yeah, so here's where the real work begins. We have already been communicating and listening to our members around the state, but we need more. We need to hear their stories. We need to hear what they're going through, and we need to be able to share those stories. That puts a real face to a real time and what we're experiencing in our schools. And then we are going to be setting up and be ready that when we set up convenings to with our health experts, that you come and you bring somebody with you, because knowledge is power. And
Mhm.
this is about making sure that we have the best resources in our school and we have the best knowledge we have going to help everyone be safe, because it's about being safe.
Right. Right. And keeping able to learn in person, which is what
Yeah.
everybody wants.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
That's what it is. That is probably the number, if you ask ask people, what's the most important thing? It's about making sure that we have in-person learning because we know the effects. Doggone it, it was hard.
Yep.
It was hard to teach virtually, learn virtually. We know that. We know the social emotional toll that it took on our students. Schools were established to be social environments. And so that, and in schools last year, we learned how to continue that
Right.
and,
Right.
and do it in a way that kept people safe. And we just think about all last year, what we were able to accomplish. It was an incredible feat that nobody thought we could do, and we did it. And so
Yes.
that's what we need to have in place again for this year.
Well, thank you for taking the time to explain this to everyone. Thank you for your leadership and service, and we'll keep an eye on what happens next.
Thank you.